But that lady, that new press secretary, she's a
that video, dude.
She's a gangster. They're prepared. And you know why they're prepared? Because they're trying to play gotcha.
Yep.
So she played gotcha with them. She checkmated them.
She came in there with that Elon Musk flamethrower.
Play that video.
Watching this clip, I couldn't help but think how ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists. But they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of years.
The women on The View went after White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt, criticizing her just for standing firm and refusing to give in to their usual political drama. Their constant remarks became so intense that podcast host and political commentator Joe Rogan stepped in and called them out. On his latest show, Rogan criticized The View for what he described as over-the-top behavior, calling them commentators who seem disconnected from reality. If you enjoy bold and direct opinions, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you do not miss commentary like this.
That new press secretary, she's a
that
gangster.
video, dude.
She's a gangster. Have you seen that video?
You've never
Jamie?
seen someone more prepared for a question in your life, Jamie.
Have you seen that?
Yeah,
I'm talking about?
Small point on that. Not the big point, but small point. She was so prepared for
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, she's supposed to be prepared.
That's why I
Jamie.
said you've never seen someone
You know
more
why?
prepared.
for that.
They're
that
prepared.
Joe Rogan began by praising Karoline for staying confident and answering every question from the legacy media with confidence. He pointed out what many Americans have already noticed. Karoline is intelligent, confident, and clear in her message. Many believe we have not seen a press secretary this quick, calm, and prepared in quite some time. In contrast, Karen Jean-Pierre faced frequent criticism during President Biden's term. She often relied on prepared notes and struggled to provide clear responses. Supporters say having someone like Karoline feels refreshing because she appears capable, articulate, and fearless. However, the women on The View see it differently. To them, a strong conservative woman represents something to challenge rather than admire. They seem uncomfortable when a woman expresses independent views instead of repeating theirs.
Young lady this is her first job, I would like her to do a little homework. Because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
She's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
What was Karoline's supposed offense? Simply telling the hosts of The View directly that she would not tolerate what she called their political nonsense. That statement strongly upset many progressive critics. They did not expect it, especially from a young and outspoken conservative woman. However, Karoline remained steady. She defended her position, criticized what she sees as hypocrisy, and challenged their shared perspective. Even liberal commentator Bill Maher, who has been critical of former President Trump, has expressed concerns about the show's direction. Maher has criticized The View for focusing heavily on outrage and identity-based discussions.
Usual suspects on the far left that the saying is, when you're in a hole, stop digging. You just lost a crazy contest to an actual crazy person. What a shocker that the people who see everything through the lens of race and sex see their election loss as a result of racism and sexism. Yes, if only we weren't so irredeemably unenlightened, we would have elected a black president by now. Oh, what?
When critics on the left begin losing support from someone like Bill Maher, it may signal deeper reflection is needed. Karoline did not just suggest reflection, she directly challenged them. At first, she chose not to respond to the hosts. She appeared focused on larger responsibilities than engaging with daytime television commentators. However, the criticism continued. The hosts questioned her experience and qualifications, and even suggested she was hired for superficial reasons. That became the turning point. After remaining silent, Karoline responded firmly. Her remarks were direct, confident, and unapologetic. She aimed to highlight what she viewed as hypocrisy from individuals who promote women's empowerment but criticize women who hold different political beliefs.
I couldn't help but think how ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists. But they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of years. They likened President Trump to Hitler. They have mocked him. They have shamed him. They have lied about him consistently on their show. And it was a joy to watch them on November the 6th when they realized that tens of millions of Americans do not listen to the lies that they have spewed. These women are completely out of touch with reality. And you're right, ABC should wait.
Karoline's response directly challenged the confident image of The View. Her remarks were clear and difficult to ignore. While the hosts expected disagreement, they seemed unprepared for such a strong rebuttal. Her response was bold, firm, and carefully delivered, leaving the panel visibly unsettled. The exchange shifted the tone of the discussion quickly. Whoopi Goldberg responded strongly, defending the show with emotional arguments and familiar political points. However, critics argue the moment revealed weakness in a program that presents itself as tough but reacts strongly when faced with firm conservative viewpoints.
Not invited to that table. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation. The reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about this. And now to hear you talk about it and to hear anybody talk about the wokeness was put in place for a reason.
Sometimes I honestly feel frustrated listening to Whoopi talk. Beyond being a once celebrated movie star with a few successful films, what has she really done to support or empower Black women in America? Are there real contributions or major projects? If you know any, share them, because they are hard to find. Goldberg often speaks as if she has earned authority, like she has been on the front lines fighting for Black women. But if you remove the fame and film credits, what remains? Her media appearances have often sparked controversy, filled with questionable opinions, misguided takes, and several uncomfortable live television moments. Instead of raising the level of discussion, critics argue she lowers it. If she represents anyone, some believe it is not everyday Black women, but rather a mainstream media image of concern. That is when Joe Rogan responded strongly. Watch this.
People love to hate.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
They get so much hate watching and hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean, it is a rabies infested henhouse.
Joe Rogan stepped into the debate forcefully, and many felt it was overdue. He did not hold back, and his criticism was direct. Rogan described The View as a show that has turned into dramatic daytime television rather than thoughtful discussion. He pointed to several controversial statements made on the panel. One example was Whoopi Goldberg's comment suggesting the Holocaust was not about race, a remark that drew widespread backlash. She also once compared struggles in a way many people felt was overly simplified and divisive. Critics argue these statements are not minor mistakes, but comments that can create confusion and division. Rogan used his large platform to challenge what he sees as hypocrisy and exaggerated outrage on the show. Joy Behar attempted to defend the panel, but Rogan continued pressing his point. For many viewers, it felt like a long-awaited confrontation.
Went after Joe Rogan on The View, and he fired back spectacularly.
You're worried about losing your job, and you're worried about podcasts taking over, and who's the source of news, and we said Donald Trump was Hitler, but half the country disagreed with us, and he won, and this is... And Joe Rogan believes in dragons! They're prepared because they're trying to play gotcha.
Yep.
So she played gotcha with them. She checkmated them.
She came in there with that fucking Elon Musk flamethrower.
Play that video.
Joe Rogan also strongly criticized Joy Behar for claiming that he believed in dragons, a comment he found completely absurd. He responded with heavy sarcasm, mocking the statement and bringing up what he considers her long history of extreme opinions on The View. Rogan called out what he described as hypocrisy and a lack of serious debate on the program. However, the discussion was not only criticism. Rogan also praised Karoline, highlighting her intelligence, calm attitude, and sharp thinking. He pointed out how she handles media pressure and remains steady under constant questioning. According to Rogan, Karoline brings clarity to political conversations. She speaks directly, avoids empty buzzwords, and stays focused on facts. In an environment filled with spin and dramatic reactions, he believes she stands out as someone who stays calm, thinks quickly, and communicates confidently.
Whoopi Goldberg saying it's worse to be a Black person in America today than a woman in Iran. I say we were talking about the trans issue before, and the New York Times really has come over on that to the sort of the sensible, liberal, not crazy woke position. I think this is a great first step toward getting the Democrats back to sanity. And a second good step would be, we got to do something about The View.
Bill Maher has argued that if liberalism is to return to its earlier principles, it must move away from what critics call excessive political correctness. Some believe The View represents the kind of debate that fuels division rather than open discussion. Classical liberalism traditionally emphasized free speech, individual rights, open debate, and civil liberties. It valued challenging ideas instead of silencing disagreement. Critics argue that parts of modern progressive politics have drifted from those principles. They point to debates around gender identity and speech restrictions as examples of growing division. Supporters see it as progress, while critics see it as a step backward. In today's loud media environment, Karoline is viewed by her supporters as bold and confident, unwilling to follow what they describe as rigid political trends. Joe Rogan's defense of her and criticism of The View reflects frustration shared by some viewers who feel daytime television often focuses more on outrage than discussion. Rogan voiced opinions many people agree with. If the goal is honest debate and real progress, supporters argue it requires courage and open conversation. Karoline, in their view, demonstrated that And that concludes today's discussion. If you enjoyed it, consider liking the video and subscribing for more commentary.